What's up, y'all? I'm back. And I want to talk about real quick. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Hopefully y'all having a great day. I want to talk about the quiet, and this is what I call it. And really the quiet is meditation. And you got to be able to go find your quiet and be able to go and meditate. And what I mean by that is when you're able to go find your quiet place and meditate, that's going to help you to be able to find out what your purpose is. See, I finally figured out what the greats have found out early on. And sometimes if you blessed and fortunate enough to figure out at a young age, and I'm talking about you like real young, and I'm gonna give you an example real quick, and I'm gonna use a sports person. It's my favorite football player named Marcus Allen. He's played for the Raiders, played for the Chiefs too, but I watched the interview, and I watched his interview, I think a couple of months ago, and I read a lot of stuff on Marcus Allen. Used the cars coming by, and I'm in the backyard. Marcus Allen talked about, I think he said he was about 8 years old, and he talked about, he was watching football, because Marcus Allen's from San Diego, and he talked about he was watching a football game, and he decided at that point in time that that's what he wanted to do. He said that, and I'm using kind of an excerpt, so I'm not going to quote him directly because I can't recall every word by word or line by line what he said, but he said that he decided at that point in time that he wanted to be on the other side of the television. But he had that epiphany at that very moment in time, and he decided that's what he wanted to be. So he decided that was going to be his purpose. He decided his purpose, and that nothing was going to stop him from fulfilling his destiny and his purpose. And so he decided at that very young age that that's what he was going to be. And so for many of us, if you recall and look back, as we're now adults and some of us are much older, we probably had those moments of clarity, and for whatever reason, we may have some other things, fear, doubt, peer pressure, trying to follow the crowd, trying to follow a bunch of nobodies trying to fit in. We thought of other things, and those things deterred us because we were worried about being judged and worried about people, what people were going to think about us. And you got to get back to that point of origin, right? That point to where you're like a child, because children usually are fearless. Children are not worried about what you think about them, because notice children when they dance like nobody's watching, when they are playing make-believe, whatever it is they're trying to be, they're not worried about what people are doing and what people are saying about them. They just make it happen. And that's how you got to be. You got to literally go and sit in the quiet. And for you, it may be early in the morning when your family's asleep. For you, it may be on your lunch break where you got to go get in the car, get away from everybody. You got to go get in the car and drive way to the other end of the parking lot where there's nobody parked at. Because you got to remember, energy bounce off everything, and you got to be far away. It might be, again, late at night where there's nobody around, where you can literally sit in the quiet and you can literally think about where you're supposed to be at and what your actual true purpose is. And then once you find out what that purpose is, you got to find out how to scale it. Now, sometimes you can't quit cold turkey and start anew. You got to phase things out, because you got to realize you integrated into society. But at some point, you got to take that chance. At some point, you got to realize that, are you living your truth? Because once you realize that you're not living your truth, do you really want to go to your grave unfulfilled? Do you really want to go to your grave and not take a chance? There are plenty of people right now that's going to go to their grave or on their deathbed living with regret. So at the end of the day, do you just want to be a person just was here, that didn't do anything and live life by your own rules or by your own accounts? Or do you want to be a person at the end of the day, when your candle is burnt down to its wick, you can literally say, hey, I live my life on my own accord, and maybe I didn't start at the beginning and go where I wanted to really go at, but you ended up at where I wanted and where I needed to be at. So this one, a little longer, still under just a little over 5 minutes, but hopefully you got the gist of the video. I'm gonna see y'all on the next one. Hopefully you got something out of it. Hope y'all have a great weekend. I'm out.